The 2022 season has been the first entire season with brand new regulations that have improved the racing and allow people to follow closely in dirty air. The battles in the midfield pack have been interesting, and it's been also changed the action up top with Red Bull dominating as Mercedes did for many years. However, with a new season on the horizon, there are expected to be several changes, from new regulations to new drivers and new cars, and how the pack could be changed once again. So, what are these new regulations? Who will drive where? And how will the pack change for 2023? Well, let's go and take a look, shall we? Ever since the pre-season testing in Bahrain before the season got underway, we saw the porpoising that happened to most teams' cars. By now, I will assume that you all know about porpoising, but pretty much the car bounces because of a lot of new technical regulations that were brought into the floor of the car. These new regulations came after months of complaints from many teams, but the team that was complaining the most was Mercedes. They were saying how the bouncing would cause health issues to the drivers, and we saw the pictures of Lewis Hamilton holding his back in pain after the race in Baku. Now, after much debate between the FIA and several teams, they announced that they would be making some changes to how porpoising may be measured and more. These brand new regulations coming in for 2023 are as follows. The raising of the underfloor diffuser throat, applying a lot more stringent lateral flow deflection tests to enforce safety, and also introducing a more accurate sensor to help quantify aerodynamic oscillations or bouncing and police them more efficiently. These regulations were not required to have a vote amongst the teams due to being under the safety measures, meaning that the FIA does not have to have the most teams agree. Now, what these regulations plan to do is stop the porpoising, as there have been some evidence to explain the constant bouncing that the drivers undergo at high speeds and the extreme amount of G-force on the drivers, meaning that if a lot of the races are like this, some drivers may get short-term or even long-term problems with their back and spine. Now, of course, the FIA does not want drivers to have any unneeded pain, so it seems as if the paddock respects their decision. However, one team that was very unhappy with these new regulations was Red Bull, who seem to have no porpoising, which gives them very good straight line speed. With these new regulations, the team believes that each team should find a way to dial out porpoising themselves and not have the FIA do it for them. Now, we have seen in recent racing that the porpoising is not as extreme as it once was at the start of the season, so maybe the teams have been able to dial out the bouncing. You do have to understand that Red Bull's anger, as they have clearly made a car that has had no issues with this bouncing, which allows them to be much quicker than the other teams on the grid. In Singapore, we saw the return of porpoising. This is mainly down to it being a street circuit, and there's not been a street circuit since Baku, which seems such a long time ago. So, should there even be a new regulation regarding this? Well, in summary, yes. This is because the FIA have to put the driver's safety of the whole grid, and Red Bull may not have the bouncing that affects the drivers, but nearly everyone else does. So, the FIA knows that these regulations may bring people closer to Red Bull, but the priority of the new regulations is to make sure no drivers are in pain or injured when driving. Overall, what do you think? Do you think the FIA had to bring in these new regulations to ensure driver safety? Or do you sit with Red Bull's side of the fence and believe that each team should dial out the bouncing themselves? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it. Now, on to the teams that may change with these new regulations and the development of the 2023 car. Of course, with every season comes brand new cars for each team that hopefully will enable each team to move up in the championship standings. By 2023, it will be important for each team to improve, as now we would have had 1 full year of the new regulations, so they've been able to understand the new cars. 2023 is a very important year for Mercedes, as they have gone from winning every single Constructors' Championship since the most recent big regulation change in 2014, to now, in 2022, having the third worst car. So for them, it is very important that 2023 is a year where Mercedes can push forward and hopefully fight for wins week in and week out. Another team like McLaren decided very early in the season that they would stop any further development for the 2022 car, and they would focus fully on the 2023 car so they can climb up the constructors' order and fight for championships. By some teams focusing on the 2023 car, it allows them to get ahead of the opposition, who are still looking to develop this season's car. Teams like Haas did this in 2021 and did not develop their current car and focused on the 2022 car, which enabled them to climb from being the slowest car to being in the points. Teams like Red Bull and Ferrari have to be able to improve on their cars, or Mercedes could easily overtake them and they could easily dominate them. But what do you think? Do you think there'll be a surprise next season and another team may start fighting for the championship? Or do you think the grid will sort of stay the same next year? Let me know in the comments below. Now, on to who and where the drivers will be driving in the 2023 season, which could easily change the standings alone. On to Red Bull, and of course they've kept with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, who is set to become Constructors' Championships this season. Ferrari are also sticking with their lineup of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, as they have made mistakes, but they have also shown their supreme talent at certain races. Mercedes are also staying with their consistent lineup of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell for 2023. Now, the first team to make a driver change is that of McLaren, who have stuck with Lando Norris but have parted ways with Daniel Ricciardo, and he has been replaced by Oscar Piastri. Ricciardo does not have a seat for 2020 as it stands, and there are rumours that he will take the year out and become a reserve driver for a team like Mercedes or Red Bull. Alpine have one driver confirmed to be driving for them in 2023, and that's Esteban Ocon. But with Fernando Alonso's departure from the team, it means that there is a second seat available at Alpine. It has been heavily talked about that Pierre Gasly has joined the team for 2023, making it an all-French lineup for the French team. Aston Martin do have their two drivers confirmed for 2023, with Lance Stroll staying with the team on what seems a lifetime contract, and Fernando Alonso is driving for the team, which came as a huge shock to the whole of the paddock. AlphaTauri have confirmed that Yuki Tsunoda was driving next season, and if they did extend Pierre Gasly, but as he has said, he is set to join Alpine next season. It also has been speculated that Nick de Vries will be driving for AlphaTauri after impressing when stepping in Williams at Monza. Haas are another team who have got one driver confirmed but not the other. Kevin Magnussen is set to drive for the American team, but Mick Schumacher is said to be under pressure and has to perform in the final races to stay with the team, or he will be replaced by Nico Hülkenberg for 2023. Alfa Romeo, however, do have their two drivers confirmed, with Valtteri Bottas staying with the team and recently announced João Daniel's contract for another year. Finally, Williams have one driver confirmed, with Alex Albon signing a multi-year contract with the team. Williams has also announced that Latifi will be leaving the team after this season, so they do have a seat available for next season. However, this seat is open to a lot of people and could be left too late before the start of the 2023 season. So, now you know more about how the 2023 season may look like. Do you think the grid may change drastically once again? Or will the grid look the same, and will Red Bull and Verstappen dominate for years to come? Leave your thoughts in the comment below. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.